Driver than me.
Hi guys. So in this video, we're going to talk about the expected earnings of a private hire driver, also known as an Uber driver, or someone who may work for the local base. Now, before I begin, I will give you a massive disclaimer. This is not financial advice, and everybody's circumstances will be different. This is based solely on my experience of being a private hire driver over the last 8 years. Now, before we get into any of this, I'm not going to be able to do it without one of my famous spreadsheets. Okay, guys, so this is a basic rota and expected income. I can't stress enough that this is expected income. There can be multiple factors that will change this on any particular day. This is not set in stone. Right, let's talk about Monday. So on a Monday between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m., I'll do my shift. I'll have a 30-minute break, giving me 7.5 hours. Now, on the low end of Monday, a really slow Monday, you're looking at about £17 an hour. On the higher end, you're looking at £21 an hour. Obviously, your experience of being a private hire driver will change this. If you're brand new, don't be expecting the high end type of thing. It would be a lot lower, giving me a total of £127 on the low end and 157 on the higher. I find with Mondays, they can be quite slow. Everyone's tired. Everyone's not really interested because it's the first day back at work and school. So you're not going to get many people jumping out and going out. So it's quite quiet. And that is why I don't do mornings on that note. I don't do mornings because I find people to be a lot nastier of a morning than they are of an evening, because they're all in a rush. They all want to get somewhere. They all want to do something fast. Cutting in, cutting out. It's not great for me mornings. I'm sure it works for a lot of other drivers, and that's great that it works for you, but I'm not a fan. Then we've got Tuesday. So on Tuesday, you find that your earnings are slightly better than the Monday. Not a lot, but slightly. I don't know exactly why. Maybe people are too tired, so they're using taxis more on the Tuesday night, but historically, I found them better. I'll do a very similar shift pattern, only I'll find that my earnings on average in the lower end is up by £1, and on the higher end it's up by £1. So not much at all. 135 low, 165 high. Then we've got Wednesday. I don't work Wednesdays. I did originally, but I find Wednesdays to be awful. So I picked that as my day off. I won't work on a Wednesday. It's just so slow. It's midweek. No one seems to be going anywhere. I'm sure other drivers may have experienced different things and may enjoy Wednesdays. I can only base this on my experience on the last 8 years of being a private hire driver. Remember, I've not always been an Uber driver. I did work for a local base for a long time first. Then we've got Thursday. I find on Thursday it starts picking up ever so slightly, but not greatly. So what I do is I'll go out an hour before on my normal shift. Now, the reason I go out an hour before on my normal shift than my normal days, weekdays, is because I want to get more rest when I come home on the Thursday night to prepare myself for the Friday. Now, it's only an hour, but that hour can make all the difference with your resting, getting your tea, that type of thing. So then we got Friday. Friday, I'll tend to go out around 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I'll do the 8.5 hours, which brings me to 11 p.m. Now, I do the extra hour because it's worth it. It's busier. The low end of the scale is up to £19, and the high end of the scale is up to £23. So on Friday, if you put 8.5 hours in, you're looking at 161 for the lower end and 195.50 for the higher end. This is all based on videos that I've posted here, and of course my experience. Now, Saturdays, you're talking 3 p.m. I go out, but I will try and do a good 10 and a half, 11-hour shift because Saturdays is your money maker. On the lower end of scales, you're making £20 an hour. On the higher end, you're making £29 an hour, giving you an average of the lower end of 210 and the higher end of 304. So Saturdays really is, that's when everyone's going out, because they don't have to go up to work early in the morning on the Sunday. And even people who are in work on Sunday aren't in till 11, 12 before they've got to go to work. So they have a chance of going out on a Saturday night. Which brings me to Sunday. Now, Sunday for me is my backup day. If I've done well throughout them other days, I will not go to work on Sunday. But if you've seen me post the Sunday video, then that means it hasn't gone to plan on the weekdays. So if I've made a good amount, I will keep Sunday off. But if I do work Sunday, this is on average what you'd get. Between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m., I do 6 hours. Now, the reason I do them times is because I want to catch the shoppers who are finishing up between 2 and 4. They'll start heading home. And it kind of steadily goes on. People go into carvery places and restaurants. And it's a nice, steady, there's not much work, there's not much cars on the road. So it's just a steady, nice day. And it's definitely a good backup day. So on the lower end of things on a Sunday, you get about £20. On the higher end, you get about 23. You will get people going to the airport on Sundays, going home, going back to Ireland. I've had a lot of that, especially with students. Lower end, you're looking at 120. Higher end, you're looking at 138. Now, before I go any further, I have to stress that anything here can change in a whim. This is not guaranteed. This is expected. You can make more or you can make less, depending on circumstances that happens, especially your experience with things. So now let's look at the totals. The total hours, now that's based on the Sunday. Now that's why it's 47, but I generally do try and do just 40, but I want the same income you're about to see now. I mean, everyone wants higher income, don't they? Let's face it. So we've got the lower end of things on a week is £889. Based on that, with them low ends and high ends, keeping in mind that any hour is completely different from the one before, as you've seen from my vlogs. The higher end of things, we're looking at £1,118. Now, before you all think, yeah, that's great, let's do it, that is your gross. That's before any of your expenses. So per hour, your gross is £18.72. And on the higher end, it's £23.54. You can't just do it off gross. You've got expenses. Now for this video, I've only put 2 expenses in. There's plenty more expenses. If you want to be able to work out your expenses, then you can use this video. I'll put a link to it somewhere along here where you'll be able to work out how to work out your expenses. Now, the expenses I've chose is renting a car, a basic car, a Prius, something along that line, with basic insurance from the people you're renting it from at £190. And your fuel cost, roughly £100. Again, this is an example spreadsheet. These are not concrete figures. So once you've taken that off, you're then looking at your net being £12.61 on a bad week and £17.43 on a better week after expenses. Please keep in mind, I know I've said it, but these are examples of expected. It's not concrete you're going to get any of that. On any given day, say for example on a Monday, I get a random surge because say Taylor Swift's in town. And all of a sudden, instead of earning the £21 per hour, I earn £50 an hour. See how it all changes? The whole spreadsheet changes just based on surges. Or if you, on a Sunday, you could get an airport no longer taking people in and out. So rather than the average of 23, you could get surges from the airports or just jobs from the airports that spit you all over England. And you could end up making, I don't know, say £80 an hour. And then it all changes again. Likelihood of £80 an hour is slim, just saying. But you get the picture. This is just expected. If this has helped you and you've liked this video, give us a like, give us a sub, and I'll catch you in the next one. Any feedback or comments on it from more experienced drivers or similar experience to myself, or even new drivers, feel free to comment below. I'll try and answer them. In a bit.